Hi, I'm David Austin, president of the Bartlesville Marketing and Communications Association. I'm here with a couple of friends. Kristin Crawford, she's the president of the Bartlesville Area Human Resources Association, as well as Mike Koehler. And I just got that right. There was a short pause there, but everything worked out. Mike Koehler, who's the new media director with Schnacky, Turnbow, and Frank, which is a strategic communications consulting company with offices in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. And we had our first joint meeting today between our two groups. And again, Mike was our featured speaker, and he just offered us insight into to social media, and then also some of the basically the evolving landscape, and then also some policies that you might want to consider for your particular company or organization. And I thought it was interesting you talking about every company and organization these days, as you've seen the communications landscape evolving, should have some kind of social media policy in place. Can you speak to that a little bit, if you don't mind?
Well, everybody has been really gung-ho about sort of jumping into social media because it's becoming such a force for how companies are communicating with their customers, how people are communicating with each other, that if you want to adapt a strategy, you also need, in tandem with that, to adopt a policy for your employees. So you really want to lock down and make sure that all the messages you have going out that are representing you and your company online fit in line with your marketing messages and reflect well back upon your company. And that's where you really have to see what your employees are doing, if they're violating any existing policy that you have, or doing anything that's going to reflect poorly back on you.
And he said, Mike made a point that kind of probably caused some people pause, in that a lot of vital information to a particular company or organization can be as little as one click away. Be it through a computer, be it through a cell phone. Speak to that a little bit.
Well, it's so easy to just, I've gotten contracts and things on my email that is just so easy to forward on to somebody who really doesn't. It shouldn't be involved in that process, especially when you talk about proprietary information, you talk about confidential information that belongs just to you and your company. So that's one of the clearest boundaries you want to make with your employees, to say, here's what you can share and here's what you can't share. Because we have a generation that's coming up of employees that's really an oversharing sort of generation. Not to paint them all with the same picture, but the reason social media,
I'm in that generation, yeah.
The reason social media has grown like it has is because people have decided to opt into that sharing. So you need to make sure as a company that we really don't get too overzealous with saying where we're at, who we're meeting with, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's part of your policy.
And you know what surprised me the most is in the beginning of our presentation, you really shared some statistics about how many people are on Facebook. I think, the users over 55 increased almost 1,000%, which is, that's just astronomical, And you mentioned your mom being on Facebook. My mom added me about a month ago, and I went, oh God, my mom is on Facebook. Are you
Right.
kidding me?
My mom's on there too.
Yeah. So I think, it's just important that companies focus on the fact that, okay, don't stick your head in the sand. Your employees are on Facebook and other, Twitter, Facebook, maybe still MySpace, all these social media things. And so I think it's just important that people focus on that and understand that their employees are on there and that they should be policing that to some extent. So how should a company police that? What are some good tips for companies to find out if their employees are on there and how they're using it?
Well, I went through some recommendations that I have for everybody. One of those recommendations is to do an audit of the web and your employees, to take that employee list that you have, and even if all you do is Google everyone, you can see sort of where they are, what they're doing, what their activity level is, and that gives you a good sense of not only sort of areas of concern, but also can identify some people who will help champion this for you too. And I think sometimes we focus a little bit too much on the negative, that there's going to be people out there talking about, I'm a member of the Church of Satan or whatever, instead of saying, this person is on Twitter or Facebook all the time, and can really help us spread the word and amplify the message that we want to get out there. So that's, really, sort of the first step is acceptance, which is people are on social networks, and then from there you want to identify those folks and really get a good sense of where them and your company is sitting in this whole world.
And so what about, just briefly, because I know several employees are probably thinking, if they're watching this right now, okay, but this is my Facebook page, and I don't care. I don't like Johnny, and it's my right to say that I don't like Johnny. So how should companies handle those kind of situations?
Well, one of the examples we talked about today was one is the company's liability. That if anybody is breaking any laws, which includes privacy laws, which includes harassment and discrimination and libel, if any of those people are doing that, talking about their business and breaking those laws, then the company is going to be held liable for that, no matter if it's on their own computer or not. And that gets into a really sticky area. So the company is just trying to protect themselves. If the employee, sort of understands that the same boundaries that exist for them in the workplace also exist for them online, then they should be able to understand that more, because like the example we used today was a company wants to have the same sort of disciplinary standards and efforts for what is being said online that they do for things that are happening in real life in the building. So just like you can't go up to your boss and say, hey, you're a jerk, and here's all the things I hate about you. You wouldn't want to do that face to face, and you would be held you'd be held accountable for that. Same should hold for your Facebook, and people shouldn't think that this is my private conversation. No, you're having that conversation on one of the two most popular websites in the universe. So you sort of need to get over the idea that this is private, unless you have those things sort of locked down. So.
Great.
Hey, thank you for joining us. For Kristin Crawford, for Mike Koehler, I'm David Austin, and we'll be talking to you again soon.